All right, hey guys, welcome back to Game On. Cricket and I are excited to talk to you guys about a crisis that's kind of hitting our country and affecting men and women across the country, low testosterone. And today, to talk about that, we got Dr. Fong and Ron Oliver. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing
Doing
great.
great. Thanks for having us on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks
glad to
for
have you
having me.
guys. You guys want to just give a little brief background of yourselves and how you got to working with the company that you guys work with?
Sure.
You want to go first, Ron?
Sure, I can go. I've been with the company about 8 months. I've been health and fitness expert for 35 years. And I came across the company about 9 months ago, started investigating their product line, was blown away completely after talking to the owner, Mr. Rick Lentini, and Dr. Fong, and looking at all the data. I was just blown away. So I had to get on the products, obviously. I got to try this stuff. It's incredible. And then after using it, I was like, wow, this stuff is like nothing I've ever seen in my whole career. So I want to be a part of this. So I had several meetings with the owner, and I managed to make myself an opportunity to do some podcasts with them to promote this product because I believe in the mission, right? We're here to make men men again because we've all seen the decline of masculinity in North America. It's just terrible to watch, right? And so we're here to help men and women both get their hormones optimized naturally and help people boost their immune system and prevent them from, prematurely aging. And in fact, we have science that we can share today. Dr. Fong will get into that later, where you can actually reverse your biological age. So while we're here, all of you listening, I would highly recommend you go to nutronicslabs.com and just have a peek while we're sharing things with you all. And then later on, you're going to get a code so you guys can get a discount.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Well, me, I'm just your humble internist who happens to be an integrative internist. I grew up with integrative medicine. My mom and stepdad actually had one of the first clinics here in Reno, Nevada. They helped to form a homeopathic licensing board in the state of Nevada, which right now I probably shouldn't say where I am, but I'm on that board. But anyway, but the bottom line is that I've spent my whole career taking care of a lot of patients with a lot of chronic illnesses, and we actually see a more than our fair share of chronic Lyme disease patients, for instance, and other neurodegenerative type patients. And one of the biggest ways we try to keep them not only maintained but to help them recover is really the flagship product of Nutronics, which is the Nutronics Labs IGF-1 Plus product. So I've actually got involved with the company almost a couple of decades ago, but just because of the my understanding, and my mom actually worked with the company's founder to help originate the product, and we can talk about that story later. So I have a long-term connection with Nutronics, but the bottom line is it's primarily because as an internal medicine doctor who at one point I did a little critical care, then switching over to an office-based practice and helping people who have chronic issues. Sometimes it's kind of frustrating on my end because we're like going, okay, you're going to get there as you're trying to fix stuff. And then of course Nutronics comes along with the deer antler extract, and all of a sudden you're getting all the same stuff that you normally would get with growth hormone. I mean, that's the easiest way to think about that. And these patients are getting better quicker. They're getting they're having lasting benefits from all the therapies, and they're really just turning around. And of course, you feel better. It's just going to emotionally and mentally, give you a positive feedback, and they get better even quicker that way. So I'm really proud to say that I've been working with Nutronics for quite a while now. I think as we were talking in the pre podcast meeting, I actually went to bat against a lot of the major sports leagues because they were trying to ban the compound. Unfortunately, we weren't successful in preventing them from banning it, but we won't say anything. But a lot of folks who are in the various leagues are using it, so maybe that's a certain testament in its own.
I was going to say, from a sports angle, is that battle over, or are you guys still fighting that battle to get it approved? Or,
well, okay, so here's the biggest problem: everything in this bottle, which is the thing they banned, is completely natural. Everything in this bottle is in your body. Everything in this bottle is what's made in your body when you have growth hormone. So how do you measure something that's already in your body unless you continuously, like now, I guess nowadays we have continuous glucose monitoring, right? I don't think we have one for IGF-1 levels. So unless you're monitoring the IGF-1 levels and you suddenly see a spike of the stuff, and because I guess I'll talk about it now. There was a study I did in my own office, an impromptu study where I put little IV catheters in all my staff. And we basically drew their blood before we did anything. And they took this one I'm holding actually is a 300, but back then I think the one we utilized was 100,000 nanogram. And all of my employees and a couple of other volunteers, they did that under the tongue, and I'll talk about that later, why that's important. And literally, I did another blood draw at 5 minutes. Man, you should have seen I'm measuring specifically insulin-like growth factor 1, but IGF-1. Man, those numbers spiked like you wouldn't believe. And then by 15 minutes, half these people were back at their baseline. By 30 minutes, everybody was back at their baseline, meaning that you utilize this so quickly. Your body's, let's face it, I think especially you get a little older, your body's really starving for this stuff, and it just sucks it right up and utilizes it. And so the biggest problem with those major sports leagues was they can't find it. They can't detect it. If let's say like, we'll just use a facetious name like John Smith takes a squirt right before going to show up for the game. Even if they drew his blood at the game when they had a record of his IGF-1 levels, he'd probably be at the same baseline, because he uses it that fast. So it's and so this stuff is just amazing, and we can get into it a little bit here, but that's kind of like basically how I got involved here.
Awesome. What's your experience, Ron, using this? I heard you saying that you were taking some before we even started this, and you've worked with other athletes
for 8 months right now. At this point in time, it's been 8 months, and it's absolutely life-changing. It's truly miraculous how fast this formula works, and it's because it's coming from God's pharmacy. It's not been manipulated. It hasn't been denatured. It hasn't been contaminated. It hasn't been turned into something it wasn't originally. What they actually are doing is they're trimming the ends of the antlers on a specific deer in New Zealand called the New Zealand red deer.
Okay.
You don't do any harm to the animals, okay, for all the animal lovers. And they vacuum it out while it's living and the animal's alive, the antler's still alive. And so it's essentially like a haircut, right? Yeah. They vacuum it out, they cold press it, they freeze dry it. So they're not ruining this incredible matrix of growth factors or all the other ingredients, right? There's over 400 ingredients. We're talking 40 compounds. There's 18 growth factors, 21 amino acids. It's 50% amino acids, all the essential peptides. It's loaded with minerals. It's 34% minerals. Many of the essential minerals in there in great dosages. Then there's it's 3% omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. It's loaded with collagen. There's many natural anti-inflammatories in there. It's even got some cognitive enhancers that are natural as well, known as nootropics. So that whole matrix of these 400 ingredients, labs studied and proven that it's there. That's what's coming from this deer antler extract. And we're getting 98.6% absorption under the tongue, straight in the bloodstream. So for me, I've never seen anything like that in my entire career. I was mentored by a brilliant doctor and a biochemist. So I know a lot about supplementation. I have a lot of tough questions to ask any company when I find it. And generally 99% of the time they fail the test because they're not making it according to my standards or the standards I was taught by my mentor. But when I interviewed, Dr. Rick Lentini, the owner of the company, I was pleasantly shocked, to be honest, that everything they were doing was fitting exactly into this list of things they must do in order for my mentor to be happy with these products that I would put in my body, right? And then within a couple of weeks, I was blown away by my own personal results. Began sharing with my favorite clients, my top clients. Everybody knows Roy Jones Jr., 9-time world champion, Owen Beck, and since I got it to Monty Barrett, retired boxer, Reggie Johnson. Everyone's getting amazing results from it. Every one of my clients, male and female, were absolutely blown away. And so I just want to be part of this awesome mission to help America become healthy and strong again, especially getting men and women's hormones properly, working, because this is a huge factor for our health. And, I just believe in the natural approach to things because I believe it's far superior and it's going to be something you can do long term.
Right.
Yeah. And I think Oh, go ahead.
What I was just going to say is that we're both not just spokesmen and believers of the product. We both actually use the product. I mean, they're unbelievable benefits, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But I didn't mean to interrupt you, so keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead. We interrupt each other all the time on the show. What I was going to say was there's no doubt there's a health crisis in this country from all the stuff that we put in our bodies, and I believe we should be looking at some more natural products. But I think we should rewind a little bit, I guess, and let the audience know, hey, what is, maybe Dr. Fong, you can answer this one. What is IGF-1? What happens in our bodies as we age with IGF-1? And how can we supplement with deer antler velvet?
So again, this is a pure deer antler extract that's bottled as Ron had mentioned. And one of the most important things is that to understand is deer antler goes back thousands and thousands of years, and it's actually got written history up to 3,000 years, close to 3,000 in Chinese history. And I was born here in the United States, but I am of Chinese heritage, so I can kind of call that to mind and be a little proud, I guess. The main thing is, remember, 3,000 years of written history means people were doing it and just remembering in their heads, whatever, passing down practical experience, probably for at least 1,000 more years beyond that. Okay, so this has been the number one thing in Oriental herbal medicine, only second to ginseng. Why? Because in every citation you can read in the stuff that the communist folks didn't destroy at one point, you basically have this documentation that this is, for lack of a better term, it's a fountain of youth. It's what helps you to maintain vitality as you get older. But more importantly, it's the main thing that's added to every remedy to help you recover from illness, to help you recover from, basically injury. And again, so deer antler has been touted as to being that forever. So fast forward to the late 20th century, and I guess I'll tell the company's genesis story.
Please do. Yes.
Our founder, Rick Lentini, who's just an amazing, most giving person I can imagine. He had his cousin, unfortunately, diagnosed and dying from Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. Literally, the cousin was given like a week to live, I believe it was. Rick had already started doing the research on this and discovered that the reason that this stuff works and why the Chinese and the herbalists and everybody else were using it was because basically the antler, which has to, and Ron made a very clear point about this, has to be a living antler. It can't just come from a dead antler, like the one that falls off during winter or something. It's got to be with the one with the growing matrix in it. And the whole point is everything that's in that growth matrix that grows the antler happens to be essentially the same thing that we have in our bodies in the presence of human growth hormone. So putting those pieces together, Rick, working with my late mother, Dr. Katrina Tang, came up with a way that they did IV infusions of a purified extract of this that actually not only took his cousin off the deathbed, but gave him an excellent quality of life, and he lived for another 15 years. So
wow,
walking around like a normal man.
Just a normal person, and literally that's where the company got to start. And then, of course, taking what we just talked about, literally. I would call it the fountain of youth, or just the great maintainer, if you will. We can call it the tree of life if you want. There's all kinds of ways you can describe it in whatever imagery you want, but this is the key. This is how our bodies normally maintain themselves, no matter how you slice it. And since we can't stick IVs into random people, Rick had to come up with a way of getting this into the body, because lots of other products out there are going to show you, just take a pill and do this and that. Guess what, guys? You get in the stomach. What do you got in there? You're supposed to have acid, right? And then that acid just chews it up. You go in if it somehow survives and makes it to the small intestine, you got enzymes that are going to chew it up.
Yeah.
So well,
that's what I was going to ask. That's what I was going to ask you. My pharmaceutical background.
You're going to ask about a GI pass metabolism. And
I was going to say, what makes your product different than those pills and other formulations out there? And you kind of hit on it.
So this is exactly the thing. All those wonderful growth factors, which we get into the effects later, they are delivered sublingually, just like we do the little nitroglycerin, little 0.4 milligram little nitroglycerin tablets that people take when they get chest pain. Why? Because we have an exchange bed, a capillary bed right under the tongue, and it takes it right into the bloodstream. So again, folks, it goes right into your bloodstream. This patented system is actually was first founded actually by Nutronics for this particular product. It's a liposomal fat-based delivery system, which enhances, if you guys want the scientific terms, it's facilitated transport across that membrane that brings it right into that bloodstream. And we have a third party that has actually independently verified that we have a 98.6% absorption rate. It's above 98%. I mean,
that's really good.
So that's why this is such a huge thing. And the IGF-1 in particular, since let's talk about the audience here. We're all into we're talking about sports. We're talking about how that can actually help people. And you know what? This is when you do independent research of looking at the various components of the deer antler, the one critical one that we're talking about here for athletic performance is the insulin-like growth factor 1, which is probably the main motivator of what we normally associate growth hormone with. And that means that you're going to be able to make gains faster when you're working out. You can repair, recover from injury quicker. And you guys know as you work out, you're actually causing micro damage to the muscles and things like that. It helps not only repair that, it helps the muscle fibers themselves get bigger and then eventually proliferate additional fibers. So you're creating all that in a little bit more of an enhanced pace. But the critical part is, and this is gets a lot more complicated than this, so I won't get too deep, is that you have genetic controls, if you will, in your body about how fast you should do this. Unlike steroids, which bypass that and can make you have like severe hypertrophy in your heart or have other areas that you create secondary unwanted responses to, this won't do that. This actually works within those parameters. And I'm going to steal the Army's recruiting slogan. This is going to make you the best that you can be within the parameters that you were meant to be. So I don't want to. We can get into like more of the individual effects here as we can continue the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's all fascinating stuff. I think, Crick, you had a question about dosing, like a time of day question.
Yeah. How often are you taking this? Is this something you take in the morning, or are you taking it a few times? I think I heard you say, Ron, you're taking your second dose, I believe.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing, what I'm recommending to all my clients now. Dosage is going to be relevant to your age, your weight, your size, your situation, your activity level. So there's like a therapeutic dose. There's an athletic dose for someone who's quite active. Then if you're in a professional athlete, do way more training, you could use more. And then you could get into actually anti-aging doses where we have scientific evidence, and Dr. Fong will share that with you soon, about how you can actually reverse your age. Okay. So I've gone through all of that. In fact, I jumped right past the first 3 doses, went straight into the extreme dosages. And I can tell you this, that I'll just tell you what exactly I'm doing, what I got Roy Jones Jr. doing, because that should tell you a lot right there, right?
Yeah.
So we're both using our favorite product, which is the IGF-1 Plus product called Maximus. And it's a fitting name. It's 1 million nanograms per bottle of this IGF-1. But again, it's not an isolate. It's the whole matrix of every those 400 ingredients I mentioned. That there is absolutely life-changing, okay? That there and the Man's Edge, those 2 products is my 2 favorite products. And then because I don't know how to do anything on a normal level, I also take the 300,000 with Long Jack, because that kicks me up another notch. And I'm at 1.3 million nanograms, right?
Guy. Let's go.
I can tell you guys, like, if you don't have a gym membership and a wife, it might not be safe for you guys to go on this protocol, okay? But if you have a wife and a gym membership, then I would say you should do it. And within, a week or 2, we'll talk, and you'll be like, whoa, what is going on? Like, I can't even exaggerate. I have text messages all the time from my guys because, I get new clients pretty frequently, right? Mm-hmm. And every one of the males is making comments like this. Wow, thanks for helping me get my manhood back. I can't believe how good I feel. It's only been 2 weeks. Or thanks for saving me from, losing my manhood. Or today I had a client call me, text me. I won't throw him under the bus, but he's like, bro, I just ran out of my man's edge. I feel like panicking, laughing out loud. When's my order coming here, And, it's just like that, It's not addictive by any means, it's completely safe and natural. But once you experience it, You know, it's definitely enhancing, but so is water, right? You know,
Right.
you ever got thirsty? You just need
Right.
more water. You get hungry, you need more food. This is like that. Like, I will never stop taking these products.
And
In the
your
beginning,
body, at a certain age, your body starts to stop producing these things
Exactly.
at the same rate that you're used
it's got
to.
really nothing to do with age. What it's got to do with is the fact that our bodies are getting toxic. So we have a lack of cellular energy because of our modern day lifestyle. Most people aren't active enough, right? Number one. Number two, we have cellular toxicity. There's only so much toxicity your body can handle. There's a reason why a man has 5 major systems of elimination and women have 6 because they have a uterus. Those systems are supposed to be constantly evacuating poison, right? And there's a reason why we're supposed to consume all the essential nutrients because the body can't produce them, right? So when you become toxic and malnourished, your body doesn't have the ingredients to produce natural levels of testosterone or estrogen or growth hormone. And without the growth hormone production, you're not going to get all these awesome growth factors like IGF-1, IGF-2 being converted in your liver from the growth hormone in your pituitary, right? So everyone is deficient in these things. And I don't know anyone that's more radical and fanatical about their diet than me. And yet, when I went on these products, it was a massive boost. Like, I was like, wow. Like, I can't exaggerate. It's incredible. Even when I talk very big about it to my friends and clients, they're still shocked at how good the results are. Everyone is. Like, you guys got to try this stuff. I'm telling you. You'll be blown away.
It sounds
So
amazing.
yeah, and we even have it from a medical standpoint. So again, I've been mentioning the IGF-1 specifically, but there's also something called IGF-2. There's neurotropins, as Ron was mentioning, or nootropics, which are things that help with the neurologic system. There's collagen for connective tissue. There's bone morphogenic factors. There's vascular endothelial factors. So anything that helps any tissue grow in the body, it's all in there. And then from a clinical standpoint, where I'm seeing a lot of neuromuscular and chronic disease patients, like chronic illness, infection type patients, I mentioned earlier, seeing a lot of Lyme disease patients. This is just critical in helping them to, not only tolerate the therapy, because sometimes therapy is going to be a little rough, but more importantly, they see the gains faster. Almost like you're working out. You see the gains, you mentally get reinforced. And these patients need it, man. I mean, they are really in bad shape when they come here. And then boom, that mental reinforcement, because they're seeing their body get better. It's just it's a whole side of the therapies I don't think we could do without here. Even if we had all the best of everything else, I think this is a critical factor in allowing a chronically ill patient to really come back around as they're undergoing therapy. But I'm going to steer us a little bit back around, gentlemen, because I think we were supposed to talk about a certain topic. But
okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, so we're here to talk about, we have a crisis about a lack of testosterone. So, Ron, you have I'm going to let Ron introduce that.
So, when I start, I mean, we all know about testosterone and estrogen. Everybody knows about it, right? But when I got involved with Nutronics Labs and started researching their formulas, I decided to research, well, how bad is the testosterone crisis in America, right? And then I started studying the levels all over the planet. So I did a lot of research on this. And I was shocked to find out that in all of human history, there's never been lower testosterone than today. And in America, we have the lowest testosterone on the planet by far. It's you guys are even a little bit lower than Canada. That should be embarrassing, right?
That is embarrassing.
That's very embarrassing. And I'm Canadian. Okay, I feel embarrassed for you. But it's not much better. It's a little bit more, right? But obviously, you guys are making up for it because there's a lot of masculine warriors down there, right? But the thing is, there's an optimal level of testosterone that a man needs to have naturally being manufactured in the system to be masculine, to be a good protector, provider, to be ambitious, to be able to do a good job as being a man. Like, that's just the way it is. It's the same with the animals, right? And so when you have men, most of them are at maximum half as much testosterone as they should have. Many of them are at a quarter of what they should be. Like, it's unbelievable. So if you look at testosterone, optimal level of testosterone for a woman is 70 nanograms per deciliter, okay? For a man, it's at least 800, okay? So you have majority of males in North America closer to the optimal level for women than for men. And you can see it. It's going to walk out the door.
Is this a lifestyle thing? I mean, is it what people...
Well, again, it goes back to low cellular energy, okay? Lifestyle, definitely. But it's also the way we're drinking and eating. So there's a massive amount of cellular toxicity to the point where even the growth hormone receptor sites are clogged up. So even if you go on a very good anabolic diet as a man and you're eating really well, that doesn't mean you're going to get that testosterone in your bloodstream, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And so that's the problem. And then we have malnutrition, right? But immediately, this formula of the deer antler extract eliminates 400 ingredients that you're not getting from your diet within seconds. And it starts building up. And like I felt my first dose. Now, that's not normal. Most people might take a few days, maybe a whole week. But you will be shocked within a week what's going on with your body. You'll notice it in the bedroom. You'll notice it in the gym. If you have a really physical manual job, like if you're a farmer or a logger or some guy that's got a really physical, tough job, all of my clients who have that type of work, they're blown away. And all the fighters, what's most important to me really is, how important is the brain, right? There's a reason why we got a skull. There's a reason why we have the blood-brain barrier, right? So our brain's very important, right? And all of the fighters, as you know, take a lot of blows to the head. But interestingly enough, it's not from their actual championship fights. It's from all the sparring, okay?
Right.
I work with a lot of fighters, so I know they wear headgear when they spar. That makes your head a way bigger target. They wear way bigger gloves, so they get hit way more when they're sparring. And they all have a certain amount of brain damage, all of them. Even Roy Jones Jr., who was the hardest guy in the world to hit, he had damage. And I'm watching their cognitive function, their focus, their memory, and their ability to solve a problem just sharpening up really fast. Like some of the guys, I can call them up, talk to them today, call them in 3 days, they don't remember talking to me.
Pretty amazing. Yeah, remember all the
now it's getting better.
Remember all the traumas that Ron's talking about with his concussions. They're things we can't see on MRIs. They're things that are essentially they can there's some functional scans like SPECT scans that are really fancy, but I don't want to get into that here. But we usually find these changes on it's kind of gross to say it, but it's in autopsies. These guys all had microvascular, like small blood vessels were all essentially exploding. And again, the Nutronics Labs IGF-1 product has vascular endothelial growth factors, which help to repair the blood vessels. But on top of that, IGF-2 and neurotropins or nootropics, as Ron would refer to them as, they are compounds that help repair the brain and help restructure that damage. And sometimes you have to bypass certain areas, like when you have a stroke. So it also promotes the brain to grow and make new connections. There is one study specifically on mice that are actually bred to be like Alzheimer's patients. And you put them in a maze, you put cheese or whatever on the other side of the maze, they can't find their way through it. They were given these compounds, very specifically, the nootropics, the IGF-2 and the IGF-1, and guess what? They found their way through the maze and started eating cheese. So that's just amazing. It basically, and that's going to segue, I'm going to take that as an opportunity to segue into the study I want to just kind of mention here. But there's a brand new study, because all these years I've been saying, hey, this can help you age gracefully. This can help you to kind of minimize the effect of aging. And I was always reluctant to use the word reverse aging. Well, I just got proven wrong with a study that just came out. There's a study by a group of researchers that do a lot of anti-aging work, and they actually determined that the growing deer antler, obviously there's stem cells in there, they're releasing specific compounds which actually, through a genetic mechanism, actually, they take old cells and make them better again. So the first thing they tried was rat bone marrow cells. They put this stuff in there, and the bone marrow, which was kind of producing, it was actually like old bone marrow, like the senescent, as the proper term that I think Will, you and I know what that term is, but explain to everybody, it's like old tissue. It's stuff that isn't really doing very well, right? So when you put the deer antler in there, it actually started producing like normal, healthy bone marrow. And they're like, wow, this is kind of neat. Wow. So they started expanding the research. The rats for other functions, they were starting, and now in what's called an in vivo versus in vitro, meaning in the whole animal, they were feeding these compounds of deer antler to them. And these rats who are essentially senescent or old rats, they're bred to be that way. They actually start behaving like younger rats, and they started moving around. So let's expand this to primates or monkeys. And they were actually seeing these monkeys who were literally, again, the older monkeys who were, they're the ones that look like they're depressed or something. They're sitting in a corner, they're not doing anything. You gave them the deer antler. All of a sudden, they're interacting with the community. All of a sudden, they're starting to climb, do other things, and be a little more aggressive for the food and beat on the younger guys like they're supposed to. Not kidding. That's a little joke there from the researcher, right? But the whole point is that they were doing that, and based on their ability to rationalize, to be able to do little tasks and everything, the researchers actually calculated that those older monkeys regressed, meaning go backwards. They went backwards with their age by 2.14 years just in the time of the trial. I think it was like 6 weeks of feeding.
I was going to say, how long? 6 weeks? Wow, that's
I think
crazy.
it was like 6 weeks or something. And so that's just from that. So imagine what that can do for your body.
Well,
and
again, Dr. Fong, I kind of want to ask you a question because we cover a lot of football around here. We love football around here. And one of the big stories in football for the last decade or so has been kind of CTE coming out. And it's one of those things that, you can't find until in the autopsy or whatever. They haven't found a way to be able to discover that in a living human being yet. But is this something, this product could be something that could help maybe reverse the effects of that?
So I actually got on, we were making an argument against the NFL banning this.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I looked at it was the same thing I said to you earlier. You make yourself the best you can be without exceeding your normal safety parameters, right? But and I posed a question to the owners, at least to this podcast. I said, you guys are paying millions and millions for each of these players. Don't you want to protect your investment? Because the answer, in short, Cricket, to you is that yes. When you have optimal levels of these growth factors, meaning that if you have plenty of growth hormone in your body, you could potentially theoretically do that. But you again, we have the solution in the bottle here with Nutronics Labs IGF-1 Plus. The whole issue is that you are maximizing your tissues so that they not only are going to function at their best balanced state, but by that token, they are going to resist damage or be able to repair that damage that much more quickly. And I mentioned earlier about the IGF-2, the neurotropins, and in particular, the vascular endothelial growth factors, which are the critical things where you see these micro traumas that are occurring with concussions and blunt head traumas. I've seen a lot of these folks here who have Lyme disease, who have cognitive decline, or they call it brain fog, and their inability to function because of the illness and the chronic inflammatory changes associated with the central nervous system. And boy, I see amazing results just with that. And I hear about Ron's success with a lot of these guys who have taken a lot of blows to their heads. There are again some research in animals that shows that recovery as well. So it's not a surprise to me that this is working. So I would tell you that I would love to see it get more widespread use. Obviously,
I can share a quick testimony on that exact subject. Specifically, Roy Jones Jr. And since he retired from boxing, they all take a tremendous amount of blows to the head, way more than a football player, obviously, right? And we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of punches in the head in their career, sometimes thousands, depending on how good you might be, right? And he was playing a specific video game to train the brain, to help his brain, recover from that. He's been playing it for years, and he's never been able to get more than 16,000 points when he plays this game. And within a few months of using the stack I mentioned to you right here, from Nutronics Labs, he calls me up one day. He's like, Ron, he goes, my brain is getting better. I go, really? What's going on? He goes, I just got 24,000 points with this game. Wow. I've never been able to do more than 16,000 points. He just did 24,000 points. He was blown away more by that than when I asked him how's his libido. And he said, shocking. I'm retired from boxing. Now I'm playing baseball. You know what I'm saying? Back to back, baby, he says. And he was excited about that. But then this was even more, exciting for him because, when you start losing your cognitive function, that's very depressing and pretty scary, right? So to have his brain all of a sudden jump from, never getting more than 16,000 points to all the way up to 24,000 points very quickly, that was really impressive.
50% jump, in case you didn't.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's 50%. How quick was that for him? Was that a week or a few months? Okay.
And we're talking about something so easy. Like in my business, I can tell you 35 years of coaching humans, okay? typically the only people that like changing are babies with poopy diapers. Okay. Most people resist changing. They have a hard time, developing good habits, eliminating bad habits, right? But with this here, we're talking about, 3 products. If you're a man, if you're a woman, we got in a phenomenal Nutronics Labs made a female formula for the ladies to help them with their hormones. And you put it under the tongue. It tastes good. You just put it under there. You put the dose you need, and it's 30 seconds. Hold under your tongue. How easy is that? Like, doesn't require discipline, doesn't require effort, it doesn't require anything but just decide to do it, because anyone can do that. And within days, you feel better. Within weeks, you're blown away. Within months, you feel years younger. Like, honest to God, I feel 10 years younger right now than I did when I met Dr. Fong.
I had a question about some of the, Dr. Fong, you brought up studies earlier. Obviously, diet and exercise is a key part of all our health.
It's absolutely critical.
Yes, for everything. Always recommend when patients come on a chronic medication to change your diet and exercise a little bit more. And I always tell them, exercise isn't you got to go to the gym and kill yourself for 2 hours a day. Go on a walk. You know what I mean? Go on a walk, 30-minute walk every day. Get the heart rate going. With the IGF-1, is this one something that people should? Is it recommended to take before a workout? And 2, does any of the studies show extra benefit by taking it and working out shortly after?
Oh boy.
Well, I think we both can answer it, but the short answer is yes. I mean, everything that's
absolutely.
So again, a lot of the research isn't necessarily on deer antler, but on the specific IGF-1 component that shows increased hypertrophy, increased proliferation of new muscle growth, basically repair of damage. All that is well documented in the sports physiology world. There was I think the oldest studies, I believe, were, I can't remember the guy's name now. He was in the Soviet Union, and he was doing research with IGF-1 with their female swimming. With their athletic team. So what he documented was that that it was really, and I think it was a female swimming team actually, but he was documenting was the growth of the muscle, the recovery from workouts, and boy, their stamina. They were basically, in all intents and purposes, they were using it as a performance enhancer. And he documented Arkady Colton is his name. That's the name of the doctor.
Okay.
So anyway, that's actually we have a little book at I think it's off our website. It's available on an electronic form. It's written by one of our earlier researchers, Dr. Duarte, who actually put all this information together. It's just a great little thing. But Dr. Colton's work was quoted in there. But that's your direct evidence. There's just like a ton of evidence that shows specifically the IGF runs that in there, and it allows for that physical prowess. Of course, we have to have our testosterone. So remember, we're taking the place of kind of growth hormone when we're using the main IGF-1 product from Nutronics Labs. But we're also talking about trying to get your testosterone up, because with the testosterone, that's another impetus to help maximize the growth of the muscle, help change that metabolism to burn up fat, which actually both of these products do. And also we mentioned in the bedroom, your performance. And I'm going to get into that, why we're going to talk about that in a second with these ingredients. But remember, it's also important that we as men don't let our testosterone get too low. And it's not just because of our physical prowess. It's not because of our performance in the bedroom. You guys realize that men, we hit a certain point. It's like ladies going through menopause. We are not going to have enough testosterone, so we get some critical changes in our body. We get things like increased risk of cardiovascular disease, such as a heart attack or stroke. There's increased risk of, in the case of both of these, you have an increased risk of
bone health.
Basically it's insulin resistance, metabolic syndromes, and things like that. So all these things we call, I hate this when other doctors use these terms, diseases of aging. We don't have to do that, but apparently. If we can keep all these things going, right? Especially testosterone. Get this. Nobody thinks about this, but women say we're toxic with testosterone, which is complete BS, by the way. Can I say that on the show?
Go ahead. You can curse and say whatever you want.
The term toxic masculinity is complete bullcrap. It was a term used in a Georgia penal psychiatric study to study criminally insane guys. And it was then applied to the general populace of men. So somebody there did not like us. But that whole terminology is wrong, because honestly, when we lack testosterone, And there's a specific study to look at, I think, guys 60 and over who were having cognitive issues. They were slowing in their function. They were not having memory problems, and they had low testosterone. Well, somebody said, hey, let's just give them testosterone and see what happens. Well, guess what? Every single one of the folks in that test started processing better. They started having better memory. And so this stuff all came around. So we know that that's a role. The whole thing with the heart between both of these, everything from the IGF-1 itself, by the way, plays a very specific role. And we think it's primarily the IGF-1 component, but we're not 100% sure. But there's a immune modulating component which affects tissue macrophages, which can help break down or prevent plaquing. So that's one thing. We know that IGF and testosterone remodel muscle, and we want to keep that modeling to the point where it's efficient for pushing blood out of the heart, not grow hypertrophy-wise like we do with anabolic steroids into the heart and decrease our ejection fractions. And so those are things we don't want to see. But this is a natural, safe way to do that, and it's maintaining the health of the heart. And it's really shocking how many people out there, and myself included at one point there, I was kind of shocked that I had blood pressure issues, and that snuck up on me. Well, guess what? There's an understanding that with the IGF-1 and even the testosterone, because it seemed like I was doing the IGF-1 already. It's when I added the man's edge, my blood pressure actually went down. And
really,
it's really interesting, that combination of factors that play into there somehow not only help to relax. Everybody talks about relaxing the smooth muscles, right? But that's one thing. But apparently it helps the IGF-1 with the endothelial growth factors actually seems to be remodeling the blood vessels to a certain degree, kicking up anything that can help destroy plaque. Apparently was another thing we've picked up on. But there's a lot of different effects in there that seem to be keeping our health of our circulation better too. So all these different things are both for the effects of growth hormone, but the testosterone seems to be playing just as strong of a role. At least maybe that's like Robin the Batman, even though this bottle's bigger than the other one. But the other fact is that they're synergistically keeping us healthy. And so let me just take a few. Ron, I'm going to butt you out, but let me
real
take
quick.
Yeah, go for it.
A couple of links were put into the chat for you guys to verify the studies we're talking about. Dr. Fong's talking about the mice, the monkeys, and I would highly recommend you both take a look at it. But you might even want to put it in the description of the podcast for everybody to have a look at out there, so they can see this is real, valid evidence, right? And I want to just say that right now we have a phenomenal special on, and especially for you guys with your people, they put in the code game on, they'll get an extra 10% off. And if they hit the subscribe button for auto ship, which they can cancel at any time, they'll get another 50% off. So right now there's an amazing deal for people who want to try what we're talking about. So for the ladies, there's this incredible formula, woman's formula. That's amazing. If any woman buys this formula today or tomorrow, whenever, they're going to get a free bottle of the 300,000 nanograms of IGF-1 Plus with Long Jack. That's a $200 value for free, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
they're giving it away because they know the combination, the synergy of those two together is going to help any woman tremendously, and they're going to fall in love with it, just like my wife and all the ladies I'm working with did. And for the men, any man that buys the man's edge also, he will get a free bottle of the 300,000 with Long Jack in it, and that combination is enough to make anyone blown away. And for those of you out there that want to jump on the Roy Jones Jr. protocol or what I'm doing, get yourself a bottle of the Maximus, if you know what I'm saying, and you will be very happy you did, because that stack right there for a man, the million nanogram bottle of the IGF-1 Plus from Nutronics Labs, the man's edge, and the 300,000 with Long Jack, that combination, that's what I recommend to you gentlemen right there. You two, you got to try it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
How could Roy Jones Jr. not, love it, and then you not love it, right? Like everybody's gonna love this stuff because it works, because it's the most pure, potent, powerful bioavailable formulas I've ever seen in my life. I don't think there's anything out there that compares. I've vastly investigated, supplementation in my career. I don't think there's anything out there that can touch it.
I've got a question, and maybe either one of you guys could probably answer this, but is there an age that's maybe too young to start this? maybe where it affects you, like your levels maybe not produce much, or is it something where you're kind of getting ahead of the game if you start earlier?
Well, we can't sell to anyone below 18, by law,
Right,
right?
right,
So
right. I
anywhere from
understand that. I'm just
18
saying maybe
all the
like
way up, any
mid.
age, because at the
Okay.
end of the day, there's a ton of very troubling deficiency symptoms of being low in IGF-1 and IGF-2 and testosterone, and it's even a huge problem for women to be low in testosterone, right?
Yes.
So they make a product for everyone because they have a dose as low as 25,000 nanograms up to 300,000, 600,000, and now the latest one they came out with recently was the 1,000,000 nanograms. So I jumped on that like white on rice when it was available, and it's just unbelievable, right? You guys, you got to just experience it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is it like with protein powder or creatine or a lot of things we can take, there's only so much you can take, only so much you can absorb, right? But this here is something totally different because I've experimented with pretty high doses, and all I get is faster recovery. I have a bigger pump and I can do more reps with heavy weight. Like it's absolutely incredible.
How would you
It's
compare this to, say, like a creatine or something like that? I remember back in my playing days, I tried the creatine, and you get the energy and all of those. How would you compare this to something like that?
can't even compare it. I've been
Okay.
using creatine forever. I would tell you this personally, as a professional trainer, 35 years, this blows away TRT and all the peptides they're selling out there. Blows it away.
Okay.
Blows it away for just results, but more importantly, no side effects. Right? There's side effects to TRT. There's side effects to synthetic growth hormone. There's side effects to those, creams and the pellets that everybody's taking to try to, fix their hormone problems. And there's side effects to peptides. Just go Google it. I mean, they're there. This is synthetic man-made in the lab, So I personally won't do that because I want tremendous results for my entire life. So for those of you listening, if you want short-term results, that might be the way you want to go. But if you want to be fit and strong and healthy your entire life, this is the way to go because this is coming from God's pharmacy. God made the deer, right? All those ingredients in there, as Dr. Fong said, are supposed to be in all mammals. And everyone in America now is so deficient in these things that they're feeling it. And look at America. If you went to the beaches in the 50s and 60s, you can hardly find an overweight person on the beach. Now you go to the beach, you can hardly find a fit one, right?
Yeah.
And our diseases have skyrocketed.
Yeah, I mean, I can't reiterate more than what Ron said. Again, our main flagship product, the Nutronics Labs IGF-1 Plus, that is our main product. That is just pure deer antler extract. That's that. Yeah, we give the deer, the antler, a little haircut. We take the end, suck out the growth matrix from inside, mix it up with the liposomal delivery system, and that's what you got here. And with every one of our liquid compounds, that's where we start. Now that we start with the man's edge with the same thing, but it's a much lower concentration in here. Okay, then we add 3 rock star ingredients for testosterone production and also for receptor agonism. So in other words, we boost up the receptors to take in more testosterone eventually. The big ones are fenugreek, long jack, which is also known as tonkat-ie, and tribulus. But the major rock star, if you will, of the group, the lead singer, if you will, is the fenugreek. It's got documented evidence across the board in every demographic. When you use it, you can have up to a 30, and in some cases a 40% increase of testosterone production in the body. And this is just simply measuring testosterone and using fenugreek. The fenugreek is also the reason why it's the main player we love to highlight. Is it's of all the ingredients, it's the main one that actually makes the receptors utilize the testosterone that you get in there that much better. So you get the effect of the testosterone. You don't just, you just make it and you put it there and your body can't use it. Because we mentioned earlier, all the toxicity, all these different things mess up our bodies and we can't use what we could normally use. And so this helps to clean that up and drive the receptors to bring that testosterone into the body that much better. And about 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago now, Nutronics Labs, we listened to the feedback by our patients. Basically, we have this situation where they wanted a little bit more for erectile function. And so we increased circulation by increasing nitric oxide in the body. How do we do that? We added L-citrulline, L-arginine, innocent amino acids that happen to be potent producers of nitric oxide. And let me just take a quick second. I'm going to Ron, can you hold up your women's formula for me? My apologies. This is IGF-1's women's formula.
I feel like Vanna White.
When we actually did the man's edge, we literally got folks called in and say, "What? How about ladies calling? How about us?" So
Yeah.
we went back to the research table and we said, "Okay, what are the main problems that women encounter, especially if they start in the age and things like that?" And so we listed those out, and then we went back to the drawing board, so to speak. We looked at what's the best natural ways to approach it. And of course, we always start with the low concentration of the deer antler in there as the basis of all of our formulations. And then we added things like boron, which unlocks hormones that are locked up in the body, cranberry for urinary tract health, iron for bone health, the B vitamins for neurologic health. So it's all in there for that, and that's for the ladies' formula. And again, we've had so much success for, and every single podcast I have to ask Ron to hold it up because I get supply in my office that literally sells out in 2 days. I can't keep it here, and the production center for the products is here in Reno, where I'm located, and it's hard to get it back on my shelf.
Still can't keep it on the shelves.
Yeah, it is that great of a compound. Again, I can't recommend it more. It's a great place to start because you don't have to necessarily just jump right into hormones. Just like Ron said, for either of these compounds, you don't have to jump right into the hormones, testosterone for guys or estrogen for a lady, or even vice versa to a certain degree. The whole point is it's all in there, and there's a principle in medicine: use the least effective dose. You start low and you work your way up. And so that's what we're doing. We're using what literally the natural thing right out of nature, God's formulation, as Ron was saying, literally. And the critical part I'm going to add to Ron was you don't take one piece of it out and then put it in the body. Now you're out of balance. You guys remember that whole Krebs cycle that you had to study in school and how it knocks it out? Yeah, you see, you were traumatized too. See, and I'm not the only one.
Yes.
I remember all that. But anyway, the whole point is you got to maintain that there's a balance to everything. All these growth compounds are in there together in a matrix for a reason, because one balances the other to put you forward. In other words, deer don't grow moose antlers. Deer don't have tumors growing on their antlers because of these things. In fact, there's a specific growth factor, actually two growth factors that actually prevent abnormal cell division in the deer antler. So again, when you put all these things together, you got a 1-2 punch. Especially in this case, I have the man's stack here with the man's Nutronics Labs Man's Edge and Nutronics Labs IGF-1 Plus, and of course we have the IGF-1 Plus women's formula along with additional IGF is the women's stack to begin with. And we believe in this so much. I don't mean to push this too hard, but I'm going to reiterate what Ron was saying. We believe in it so much that we're kind of giving the farm away a little bit here because we do want you to try it. We think that the compounds will basically prove themselves to you that you're going to want to keep using them. And so again, to reiterate, if you get on an auto ship, which is a subscription once a month to either the Man's Edge or the IGF-1 women's formula, you will get automatically 50% off because the auto ship will do that for you, especially with your viewers. We want to make sure we take care of them. On top of that, when you do that, you get a one-time free, this isn't the exact product, but you will get a 300,000 nanograms, one of our stronger ones, with long jack of the IGF-1 Plus to go along free with that if you go on an auto ship. So that's a $200 value just sitting there right to give you. I believe you guys, it's if
you use promo code Game On, you'll get an additional 10% off your first order.
There's a place to add a promo code, but specifically, I think we want to make sure we maximize all these discounts. It should be Nutronics Labs, NutronicsLabs.com/Game On. So make sure that we get everybody lined up for you guys. And so let's make sure we do that, and we can put that in the comments later or something. But the bottom line is that's really, we believe in these compounds. Like I was kind of saying earlier, there's a joke about a certain group that does hair restoration here in the United States, and said, "I'm not just their spokesman, but I'm a client." And but the fact is that Ron and I, we just don't simply push this out there as spokespeople. We really use the products. We both have had our personal experiences with them. We use it on all of our patients and clients. Really, there's just a ton of practical experience with this that it's just nobody else can really rival, and we really have seen just nothing but positive results.
Yeah, and once again, you go to nutronicslab.com/game on. Link will be in the description of this podcast, along with all the wonderful information that you guys have sent us. I will make sure to include those links to the scientific studies. That will take you to your special deal. You get 50% off if you sign up with auto ship, and you'll get a free gift along with it that Dr. Fong just told you all about, and an extra 10% off for being a Game On listener on your first order. You guys should go check this out. I'm excited to try this. I'm pretty sure Crick is excited to try this. You guys seem pretty jacked about describing it to us today.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to ask you guys on as we wrap up here is someone that's, if they decide they want to try this product out, what would be the number one recommendation you give them as they're getting started?
My number one recommendation to every man and woman out there, 100%, is get yourself a bottle of this IGF-1 plus nano. So, the Maximus, the 1,000,000 nanogram, because it's so potent, it won't take you long to be blown away by the results. And along with that, if you're a male, get the man's formula. If you're a female, get the female formula, obviously.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to take it, and take it faithfully every day, because within a few days, you'll be blown away. Every single one of my clients is blown away. They're just loving it. And this is the first time I've ever came out and went public with any products in my career. I've never associated my name and gone public with a product before, ever. Okay. I would not do that if they weren't incredible. And I have a good reputation in my field. I've never promoted anything that wasn't incredible, but I've never came out and gone public like this before in my life. And Roy also came on board as a brand ambassador, and he's never endorsed anything like this before either. So both of us are putting our names on the line. And for all of you listening, if you're even thinking about it, you need to go try it, because you cannot lose, because the company has a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. So you can order the 1,000,000 nanogram bottle and the man's formula and the 300,000 if you want to, or the female formula. Buy anything you want, and if you're not blown away in 30 days, you can have your money back. I've never had anyone return a product, okay? And
Right.
there, you don't even have to send back the product.
We call that closing line value here on this show.
That is
Right?
closing line
You
value.
can't lose. See, the problem is and for all those people out there listening all over the world, I understand, you don't know who to trust. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all trusted the wrong people too many times. So now we have buyer's remorse. We've all been conned. There's leaky condos. There's lemon cars. We've all been screwed. So here's the deal. You cannot lose here, because you get 100% money back guarantee. Why would a company that's been in business for 25 years, veteran owned, who sold more than 10 million bottles, give you this product and then say you can have all your money back if you don't love it? And why would they throw in a $200 bottle for free if they don't know it works? Like, they're not
That's confidence.
We're that confident.
They know.
Mhm.
So
That's why I'm happy to be here and push this on people, because I can't possibly harm my name. It can't harm Nutronics Labs' name, and nobody's going to be dissatisfied, because everybody's going to love it. And if they take it faithfully every day, they will get awesome results. It's just inevitable, because everybody's deficient in these things.
absolutely. Yeah. I want to steer us back to you guys' audience. Again, this, if you're talking about us being athletically minded here, this is the compound that you're going to want. These are the things that are going to let you be the best that you can be in whatever you're training in, to bring yourself out to be the best you can be, the best performance, the best recovery, the best of everything, and no harmful side effects whatsoever. I hate to say it this way, but somebody else said this to me once, so I'm going to repeat it. If the major sports leagues are banning it, and this is a professional athlete that said this to me, he said, if the sports leagues are banning it, I'm all on board. And he told me that was the biggest endorsement I could give for the compound when I was talking. He said that if the leagues are banning it, means it must be good. Literally is what the guy told me.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, I'm excited to try this stuff. I need the best I can be all the time around here, chasing around 5 little kids. So yeah.
Last thing I want to share real quick before we go is I have never seen anything put lean muscle mass on clients faster than this, nor in my entire life have I seen anything that's put lean muscle mass on faster than this. And for all those people out there that are aging and losing the lean muscle mass, it's very important to know that the longer you can maintain healthy, natural, lean muscle mass, the longer you will live. It's a scientific fact. So you got to get that muscle back on if you've lost it. And if you have that muscle, you got to maintain it. And there's no better way to maintain it than this.
Exactly.
Exciting
Yeah,
stuff.
I definitely would agree with Ron. Even when I talk to folks with, say, like metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, high lipids, and insulin resistance, specifically towards the insulin resistance, when you have more active tissue in your body, you're using the sugar up better. And this is a way oversimplification for all you guys who are more medically minded. I get it. But to help your patients understand, we sometimes have to dumb it down just a little bit so they can understand it. But the bottom line is if you have more muscle, that's active tissue. It's going to burn up the sugar a little bit better. Obviously, you guys who are more in knowledge, we have to transform that glucose into other types of sugars. But let's not get it too complicated. But at the end, if you got a bunch more fat in there, what's the fat doing? It's storing up the sugar. It's going to be keeping the sugar in that presence, and it's going to create the insulin resistance that comes along. So that's just one example. But Ron's absolutely right. The better the body habitus that we have, the healthier we tend to be.
Yeah, well, I'm convinced, Crick. I think the audience just needs to go check it out for themselves. Links will be down below in the description of this. Go check it out, see if it's right for you, and take advantage of those special deals. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on and sharing this product with us. Yeah,
enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
All right, we'll catch you guys on the.
We'll see you in that. We'd love to come back and see how you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That I already have a ton of other questions too. Thank you for taking an hour of your time to talk about us with that. But yeah, I would love to try it out and then give you guys some feedback on it and see how it's working.
Thanks for giving me a chance to get a break. Otherwise, I wouldn't get lunch today.
All right, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Go check that out. Links are below. We'll catch you guys later.